Hey, good morning. It's so lovely to see you. Welcome to Seattle Unity Sunday service. Hello, people in the room. Hi. Hey, it's picnic day. After the service today, we're going to head up there on the picnic, so we're going to invite you to come along. And I'm going to invite you to stand as you are able and use a little bit of body movement on this. This is the wake up. And if you're at home, I'm going to invite you to actually go ahead and stand up and do this too. I'll sing it first. It goes like this. Oh, no, I won't. Olivia will. I did this 3 times in rehearsal, I swear to God, where every song starts and I think it's my song. This is how I walk through the world. But we're gonna actually let Olivia sing the freaking song. So, thanks, Aaron. Oh, come on, don't you know you walk with God? Oh, come on, don't you know you walk with God? So hold your head up high, don't you know you walk with God? Good, let's all do that. Don't you know? Come on, come on. Come on, come on, don't you know you walk with God? Yourself a little walk. Come on, don't you know you walk with God? So hold your head up high. So hold your head up high. Don't you know you walk with God? If you sing harmonies, sing them out strong. Come on, don't you know you walk with God? Walk, 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 walk with God. Come on, don't you know you walk with God? So hold your head up high. Don't you know you walk with God? All right, the second part goes like this. Every day I walk with God. Isn't that sound sweet? Sing that. Every day I walk with God. Every day I walk with God. All right, try that. Every day I walk with God. Every day I walk with God. Now give yourself a little strut. Every day I walk with God. Every day I walk with God. Come on. Sing it out strong. Come on. Don't you know you walk with God? Come on. Don't you know you walk with God? So hold your head up high. Don't you know you walk with God? Let's bring that down and we'll pray on that energy.
And so we focus on our opening statement together. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God the good, omnipotence.
All right, we're going to sing from this quiet space. Every day I walk with God. And while I'm thinking about that walk in energy, you know, we've been having summer walks, community walks. So after the service, check out our website. There's a community walk that's going to happen just in a couple of weeks. I think it might be Discovery Park or something like that. But the idea of walking and getting that moving, really being out in the world walking, really physicalizing that. Every day I walk with God. Ready? Every day I walk with God. Every day I walk with God. Every day I walk with God. Let's bring it up. Come on. Oh, come on. Don't you know you walk with God? Don't you know? Come on. Don't you know you walk with God? Last time, hold your head up. Hold your head up high. Don't you know you walk with God? Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, and welcome to Seattle Unity, both in-house and at home. It's wonderful to see you all. So this morning we have our building prayer, and before we affirm that, I want to let you know we did pass the fire inspection this week. So we are moving forward. All right, so here's our building prayer. We are engaged in a creative process that blesses future generations. Seattle Unity's building project is unfolding with grace and ease in a timely manner. It is on schedule, on budget, and is divinely guided. The perfect people are in the right leadership positions to shepherd this process. The Board of Trustees, project team, and the congregation are helpful, loving, generous, supportive, and centered in spirit. We use this process as a path to awakening. May I get an amen? Amen. All right. So I want to invite you all. We're having a picnic following the service over at Denny Park, and there will be building tours happening, and there'll be a drum circle at 1 o'clock. So bring your lunch and a chair if you have one, and we'll see you there. That said, let's all and if you have any prayers, please type them in the chat box and or put them in the box up on the counter, and we will collect them following the service, and we will pray for people and also put them on the prayer list for the rest of the week. Okay, now let's see the announcements and greet one another.
When you are able, make your way to a place in the room where you could maybe sing and dance and move again in a happy way. If you're doing it right in front of one of the cameras, we'll probably have a nice person come and usher you out of the way. But someplace in the room, there you go, darling. God bless you. So this is a Karen Drucker tune. And this is I Give Myself Permission. And this is because our fire marshal just gave us permission to move forward. So she has given the church permission to be all it can be and to live passionate and free. So we're going to sing that. I give myself permission. I'll sing it for you first just to teach it. You know, it's always somebody's first day in here. So if it's your first day, God bless you, gold star. For the rest of the day, it's a lucky day for you. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself, that's it, permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. All right, that's good. I want us to sing that one again. And on the passionate and free, that's the part that I would like you to somehow try and express physically what passionate and free might be to you. It could be jazz hands. It could be like, you know, a belly dancing. It could be just like a very, very tiny little Or it could be something completely different. Passionate and free might be passionate and free to write what you really mean in your journal. Passionate and free can mean many different things. But for right now, if you can give us something on that last one, I'm going to be grateful. Ready? Here we go. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself, here comes, permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. All right, this is one of those word swap in songs where I give myself, I give my something. So, Jeff Fielder, special guest Jeff Fielder, hello.
Hello.
If you were to give something and someone permission, who would it be?
My friends.
Your friends.
All of our friends.
All of them. Okay. Because I don't know your friends are wild.
You know some of my friends.
I do. If they do, okay. Passionate and free and legal. 1, 2, 3, 4. I give my friends permission to be all they can be. I give my friends permission to live passionate and free. I give my friends permission to be all they can be. I give my friends permission to live passionate and free. Awesome. Hey, Tekla, also special guest Tekla Waterfield.
Hello. Hi, Aaron.
If you were to give something or someone permission, what would that be?
My baby.
Your baby! Oh, she's gonna have a baby!
Baby.
Can we say child?
My child.
I give my baby. I like that, actually, but
give
I
my
want to do
baby.
child because I want it to be
It's
not
very
just
rock and roll.
It is. I want to give my baby. Hey, baby. Now that I keep doing it, now I have to do it. We were gonna do child in rehearsal, and child like my child, but let's do baby.
Give my baby.
I'll give my baby. And if you don't have a baby of any kind, think about it as a blessing for the entire next generation. Like I give all the future babies all of the permission to do what they need to do to save this planet before we burn up. I give them all the permission. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. I give my babies permission to be all they can be. I give my babies permission to live passionate and free. I give my babies permission to be all they can be. I give my babies permission to live passionate and free. All right, one more. Dahlia.
Yeah,
tell me.
You know, I think I'm going to give the board. Because
Oh.
it's been a long slog.
Oh.
There's some right over here.
If you're in the board, would you please put your hands up? Yes. Gail.
And if you
Paul.
were formerly on the board, you could do that too.
Yes. So they have really been working very hard because of this building project, and it's just come through. It's just like the baby has started to go like, wah, 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 right? That's what's happening with this building. This board is awesome. Let's give them permission. I give my board permission to be all they can be. I give my board permission to live passionate and free. I give my board permission to be all they can be. I give my board permission to live passionate and free. All right, last time we're going to do I give myself. And sometimes when you start with a self-affirmation, many of us in this culture, it's not real to start with. Oh, yeah, I give myself permission to do that sort of thing. But it's much easier to give someone else permission. Oh, I give you permission to be who you are. So let's do myself again and see if it's deepened any from the beginning of the song when we sang it. I give myself permission. What would it really mean to give yourself permission in that way that's risky? And have something in mind specific that's so good it scares you. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission 3 times to live passionate and free. To live passionate and free. To live passionate and free. Nice. Please be seated. I want to invite Howard Langfeld forward to give us our reading for today.
I've been trying to learn this talk for osmosis, but it hasn't been working, so I guess I have to read it. Oh, sorry. What's the Opposite of Grace by Ed Townley. When defining a word, sometimes it can be helpful to ask what its opposite might be. I think the opposite of grace is effort. We expend a great energy in life working to master the challenges of being human. At some point, we begin to chafe under the demands of those challenges. Grace makes everything more effortless. The challenges of joy, the chaos and confusion. But first, it has to be accepted. We may be caught working through the challenges at the mortal level. We may be so caught that we fail to notice the availability of grace to dissolve resistance. Once open to grace, our possibilities expand infinitely. We can use grace to move us to the innate presence of the divine mind. By its very nature, grace does not have to be earned and is never denied. It flows whenever we remember to take the time to step back from the challenge at hand and allow grace to express. Richard Rohr said, "When God gives of God's self, one of the two things happens. Either flesh is inspirited or spirit is infleshed. Both directions are important. Each needs the other. If we are to achieve our creative spiritual purpose. And grace is so simple. All it asks of us is to remember to relax. To move easily to our spiritual perspective. And then return to the challenge refreshed and empowered."
Coming into a contemplative part of the service. There'll be a 3-minute silent meditation in the middle of it. I encourage you to become comfortable in your chairs. And we'll use this old song to take us in. This is All Night, All Day, Angels Watching Over Me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Try that. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. All night now, all night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me, watching over me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Take one, Jeff. One more, real quiet. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me.
The sky was so gray and I was so alone. No one to talk to, no one to call. Could have given into the dark. When I think of all the loves I have known, loving hard, loving fast leaves you broke. And there's no one who gets you, no one won't. And just when you think you will fall, love comes along, and it takes you and it makes you strong. Love comes along, and it takes you in its arms.
Life is like one big old maze. Some days are bright, some are dark, some are hazy. So you look for a map, some kind of sign. Oh, that you're doing things all right. So you pull off to the side of the road. Weight is heavy and the load is too full. And you fall to your knees, screaming, someone help me please. Well, I can't carry this burden alone.
Then love comes along, and it takes you and it makes you strong. Love comes along, and it takes you in its arms. Making such a mess, haven't learned nothing yet. But my dear, you will be forlorn. Then love comes along, and it takes you and it makes you strong. Love comes along, and it takes you in its arms. And it takes you in its arms.
Let's hear it for them again. Thank you. So in our Tree of Life series for the year, this month is about the fruit of the tree. And fruits remind us to enjoy the summer and take time out in nature and celebrate. So I hope you're giving yourself time to be outside and to take advantage of the long days and the beautiful summer that we're having. So last weekend, I got to do that. I went to Victoria with my daughter on the Clipper. And one of the things that we did is we went on a whale cruise that left Victoria. And we were lucky enough to be able to see 2 humpback whales. And what was great about it is that, you know, our captain found the whale and it would come up. And then, of course, there's always that blowhole that goes, you know, to let you know that it's there. And then it swam on the surface for about 5 minutes before it went back down. And it always went down with this dramatic move where it would just put its head straight down and this huge body would come out of the water and flourish with that giant tail that would hit the water. I mean, it was just so miraculous and amazing. And so our captain just turned the boat off and we just sort of skirted along and, you know, waited for it because it would be down there for another 5 minutes. Then it would come up and the whole process would happen again. And we stayed with this one whale for about an hour, just watching it go down and come back up and go down. And it was truly just a wonderful experience. And then we went on and saw another one and sea lions, and Caroline and I couldn't have been happier. It was just wonderful. So it's hard not to feel blessed by the grace of the universe when we get to experience nature in that way. Because the truth is, fruits of grace are all around us. And events like being in the presence of a whale can put us in that state, but so can being in nature in the forest, yes, being out to sea, being present at the birth of a baby. I mean, that's like the high point ever. And the truth is we also notice grace, and maybe we notice grace more when we are struggling. Because when we're struggling and we don't know what to do, when we're in that dark space, right, that's when we're able to surrender. We're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do it. I give up. And then something moves in us, or something moves in the outer, and that is a state of grace. So we may be more familiar with the experience of grace when we're in a difficult situation. Because again, it's in those times that we're willing to surrender to something greater than ourselves. There's an album, a CD that I like to listen to a lot, and it's called The Prayer Cycle, and it has different aspects of prayer, but one of them is grace, and it's this beautiful choral arrangement, and James Taylor comes on and sings toward the end, and the words are, and it speaks to grace and calling out to grace. The words are, Father, won't you carry me, for the ocean is wide. Father, won't you carry me, for my boat is so small. Father, on a moonless night, help me cross the stormy sea. Out here in the darkness, help me find my way back home. Father, won't you carry me home? So it is in our moments of darkness that we are most inclined to give it up and surrender. But what about ordinary days? You know, typical normal day. Where is grace then? Hypatia Hasbrook, who wrote the Handbook of Positive Prayer, and she was the dean of the ministerial program when I was in school, she said, grace is not a special activity of God reserved only for human emergencies. It is omnipresent as the principle which governs the cosmic process. And as the cosmic process itself, God is always pouring out love and mercy. So we heard earlier that grace is not something that is earned or takes effort, but it is rather a gift from the universe. As Ed Townley said, it's the opposite of effort. Ed Townley also said it's the unearned, unexpected, eternal energy that supports and embraces us once we release our attempts to do everything within the confines of our mortal mind. So it appears to me that letting go is one of the key elements to experiencing grace in our lives. So I had a literal experience of this when I was driving through Iowa many, many years ago on my way to Colorado. The tread on my tires was almost not there, bald almost. And when I left, it was a sunny, wintry day that turned into a winter's and stormy, cold night. The temperature dropped drastically, causing the roads to ice over. And it was dark, and I hit a patch of ice which caused my car to spin out of control. And I grabbed the wheel and I turned away from the spin, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to turn into the spin, which seems counterintuitive. So I turned away from the spin, and then the car spun in that direction. I turned in the other way, and then it spun in that direction. I did it 3 times, just spinning, spinning, spinning. And then I realized I didn't know what I was doing. So I just let go of the wheel. I just let go of it. And the car veered off to the right, and it went down like a 50-foot embankment. And the car just parked. It just parked. And the only thing that happened was I had flat tires, but I wasn't damaged. The car wasn't damaged. And the song playing on the radio was, "I Believe in Miracles." I don't know how many of you remember that song from the 70s. I believe in miracles since you came along. You sexy thing. Yeah. So I climbed up to the top of the embankment, and it was snowing. There was a whiteout, and a Jeep had seen me go over the edge. So it went around and it came back, and we said, we thought we saw a car go over the edge, but we weren't sure. And so we drove to the nearest restaurant, which was a Happy Chef restaurant in the middle of Iowa. And then all the roads closed because there was a whiteout, and we all spent the night. There were at least 50 or 60 of us in the Happy Chef. So I believe that it was grace, an experience of grace that guy saw me go over the edge, or I could have been frozen on the highway. So how many near accidents have you all been in? And there's something that steps in, or it feels like this force that can protect us. I read an article by a man named Paul Fuentes, and he said he was driving down the road. It's a road he was driving all the time, and he said he wanted to get home. He was in a hurry to get home because he was hungry. And then he heard like this inner voice say, "Get in the right lane." And he's like, "Get in the right lane? Well, that's stupid. I'm not going to get in the right lane." So, he started rationalizing. There's no reason for me to get into the right lane. I'm not blocking anybody in the left. And then he heard the voice, or this intuition again, that said, "Get in the right lane." And he's like, "I'm not getting in the right lane." And then he said he heard it a 3rd time. And so he moved into the right lane. He said, then after what appeared to me to be 3 seconds, the car behind me suddenly lost control and smashed right into the car ahead of me. With a great crash, there were broken pieces of glass splattered over my windshield, but my car was spared the damage. So have you ever had an experience where the intuitive voice is warning you or telling you to move or to do something or to not do something? And have you found that when you listen to that it's a source of protection? So Scott Peck said that there is a variety of phenomena that serves to nurture, support, protect, and enhance human life and spiritual growth. This occurrence is frequent, it is routine, it is commonplace, and it is essentially universal among humanity. And it has been, for centuries, people have tried to define it. And the best they can come up with is the word grace. Grace comes in the form of serendipity. And serendipity is the gift of finding valuable or agreeable things not sought for. Serendipity is a seeming coincidence that serves to guide you along your path. So when I had completed a 1-month-long yoga teacher's training course in the Bahamas, I was dreading going back to Chicago. It was also winter. It was still winter. And I was sitting next to some people, and these two guys were having a conversation, and I was eavesdropping. I was listening. And one person was complaining that he had to go home and that he had to go back to work. And his friend said, well, why don't you just stay here? And he said, because I have to go home. He says, I have responsibilities and I have things that I have to do. And his friend said, well, why don't you make what you have to do what you want to do? Now, I don't know if that guy took those words at all, but I did. Those words kept playing over and over and over in my head, and I couldn't get rid of them. And so it was a synchronistic moment for me. It caused me to look at my life and to make critical changes so that I could make what I had to do what I wanted to do. And this was the beginning of my path to ministry, because I started to make changes that aligned with who I really was. Scott Peck also shares an example of synchronicity in his book, because he said he was writing the book, The Road Less Traveled, and he was using a friend's house who had an extra room and a big library. So he'd be there writing, and he said one day he just hit a wall. Like he couldn't move forward with his writing. He's like, I just don't know where to go. I am stuck. And he was about to quit for the day, and the woman who lived in the house, one of the people that lived in the house, she came over and she handed him a book, and she said, look, I don't know if you need this or not, or you even want it, but something was telling me just to give it to you. And normally he'd roll his eyes and go, yeah, thanks a lot, not really. But he took it, to be kind, to say, oh, thank you. And he said he opened the book and he looked at it, and it was exactly what he needed, because he was stuck in his writing process. And what he ended up reading pushed him through and gave him the information that he needed to move forward. This is synchronicity. This is one of the ways that grace shows up. When my mother died, I flew to Chicago, of course, for the service. And the first thing I did when I got to the house is I went up to her room, because that's where she had died. And, it had happened just, the day before, 2 days before. And she had a tape recorder by her bed, and I knew that she'd been listening to a book on tape, because we talked frequently. And so I walked over to the tape player, and I pushed the button, and the author said, angels are with you in your time of grieving. And it was like, okay. And then I hit stop, and it was as if my mother was speaking to me from the other side. Again, grace shows up in those moments when we need it most. So grace can come in the form of a dream that gives us insight or connects us to a departed loved one. Dreams can warn us. They can help us make decisions. They can bring us comfort. And they can guide us on our spiritual path. So it's, again, important to listen to our dreams. I dreamed of my stepdaughter, which I hardly ever do. And she called me, and we were talking about something. And all of a sudden, I remembered that I dreamed of her. And I said, I dreamed about you last night. She goes, you did? And it wasn't synchronicity or anything, but what it was, or maybe it was a connection with her, like that was there, that went beyond just like chit chat and how are you doing. It's like, you show up in my dreams. Scott Peck also said, there is a powerful force originating outside of human consciousness, which nurtures the spiritual growth of human beings. We cannot touch this force. We have no decent way to measure it, yet it exists, yet it is real. And again, it's a universal experience that crosses all cultures. So this is a perfect time of year, again, to enjoy fruit and to enjoy the fruits of grace. This fruit is not only abundant right now, not only is it delicious, but if you look at the fruit, it contains seeds or a pit, which ensures that even more will come, that even more good will come, that even more fruits will come. And just as a peach contains a pit and the apple contains the apple seeds, each one of us within us contains the God seed. And we can call it Atman, we can call it divine love, we can call it the soul, we can call it whatever we want, but we have that divine seed that's in us that is growing, that is expanding, and the universe wants to help us. The universe is supporting us in this unfoldment. So each of us contains that seed of perfection that is constantly unfolding. So we can't force grace to happen, but we can be open and welcoming to it. I'm going to quote Ed Townley again. He was a friend of mine. All it asks of us is to remember to relax, to move easily to our spiritual perspective, and then return to the challenge refreshed and empowered. So let's take a moment to bring this into prayer. Divine presence, we are immersed in the heart of love. We live and breathe and move and have our being in love. When faced with challenges, we relax and we let go. And during our normal, ordinary days, may we have the ears to listen to your guidance through the still, small voice. May we hear the wisdom of our dreams. And may we be aware of your guiding hand in our lives as we are blessed by grace. And it is for this awareness and in the name and through the power of the living Spirit of truth that we do say thank you and amen.
One, two, three. Say you want away, but all you want are the reasons. Will you walk away when all you find is confusion? Nobody said it was easy, way down in the low. The only way to Jesus, you gotta walk that lonely road. Will you live in fear, or will you live in forgiveness? Will you walk away when all you mind is your business? Nobody said it was easy, way down in the low. You wanna walk with Jesus, you gotta walk that lonely road. Yeah.
glad to see you. I'm so glad. Nobody said it was easy. Way down and alone. You wanna walk with Jesus. You gotta walk that lonely road. I'm so glad, 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 I'm so glad. Jeff Fielder and Tekla Waterfield.
All right. So we come to this time in our service where we share our tithes and love offerings. So there's a couple ways to give. If you're in the room, cash and checks can be put in the box there on the counter. And you can give by text. The number is on the screen, 206-350-8448. Just type in the amount you would like to give, and you'll get an immediate response and an immediate receipt, which is wonderful. So we take a moment to bless our offering. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude, and it is so. So I'd like to take a moment as we bless those who have requested prayer. So I invite you to move to the center of your being, to a higher consciousness, to your heart and mind connected. And so we stop and we bless Pat, who has made his transition. And we see him filled with light. We see him free. And we are grateful for his life and all that he has been. And we hold in prayer his family as they adjust to life. Without him, we hold Lynn and Gary. I also ask that we hold in healing prayer Jerry, seeing that presence of light moving through every cell of his body, bringing him healing and wholeness. And for Mike and Diane, we also bless and hold the highest and best for Terry and Loretta, for Tara and Mason, for Antoinette, April, and Joe. Taking a deep breath and recentering. And we send this energy of light to Janet, to Carolyn, to Steve, to Malushka, to Joan, and Annie. And again, if anyone else comes to mind, we also hold Ukraine. Any other place that is disturbed, may it be harmonious right now. And so we invite you, before you go, not to leave if you have prayer requests, and to meet Louis or Kathleen as your chaplains on the other side of the room. And so let us affirm together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, thank you, Heather. That is the truth. I want to invite you to stand, and we're going to sing a closing song, All Is Well. Send this out to anyone you can, and if you're in the room at liberty to hold hands if you get consent first. We love the holding hands. Sometimes we want to make sure that it's one of those welcome things. All is well.